to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Don't label us left or right. Are American.
Okay, welcome everybody to this edition of Liberty First Foundation. I'm Mike Marshall, and tonight I am very honored to have Marcus Monroe with us. Marcus is an author, a comedian, an entrepreneur, you name it. I'm actually going to let Marcus get into more of who he is and what he does, and then we're going to start into some heavy conversations tonight. This I am hoping to work into a series of videos featuring Marcus so that we can actually kind of discuss some of the events that are going on across the nation and start to bring in some new perspectives about what's going on. So with that, Marcus, let people know who you are.
Hey, Michael, first of all, I really want to thank you for having me on today. I greatly appreciate that. And I can't tell you how excited I am to connect with you again. It's been, we were in Vegas right before this whole thing, started to take off in the U.S., Corona. But we connected there, and I'm just really happy to connect with you again. So I really, from the heart, want to say thanks again for having me here.
Well, I am glad to have you here. I've been wanting to get back in touch with you ever since Vegas, but as you know, the world kind of had other plans for everybody. So
yeah,
I'm glad
absolutely.
that we are able to do this and move forward. Okay. We might get thrown some curveballs along the way, but it's up to us to make the best of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, to tell about myself, a little bit about myself, I'm a pastor, and I've been in ministry since the year 2000. My wife and I, we pastored a small church, and that church, it started growing. So in 2016, I stepped away from pastoring to focus on my family. My kids started getting at the ages. I have 3 kids, and so my kids started getting, my kids are all adults now. And so back in 2016, Mike, I made a decision that before they leave the nest, I wanted to spend as much quality time with them and give them some undivided attention. So that's what we decided to do. I also was a stand-up comedian. For a lot of people who don't know, I did stand-up comedy. It's where I started. I had a development deal with Fox. They wanted to make me the next Chris Rock, is what they kept telling me at the time. And so I was young. I was full of energy. A lot more energy than I have now. And so I was touring. I hosted a few Def Comedy Jams. I was on tour with a lot of famous people. But that's when God spoke to me one night doing a set and told me that he was just training me to talk to large crowds of people to get people to stop living beneath their potential.
Right.
And I transitioned into ministry. So, to tell a little bit about myself, it's simple. My name is Marcus Monroe. I'm a guy who has a passion to see people stop living beneath their potential and start living a more fulfilled life. And I've been helping people do that since the year 2000 and I want to say I've made impact helping people, not just motivating, but actually getting results.
Awesome. And that's what really being free and living a life of liberty is exactly that. Okay.
Yeah.
Living up to your fullest potential. And it honestly doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, Your race, none of that matters. If you are really living up to your fullest potential, nothing can stop you. I don't care how bad the cards are, quote unquote, stacked against you. Okay. If you truly live your life to its fullest potential, nothing can stop you. Absolutely nothing.
Agree. I agree 100%. 100%. You know, what I found is this, you know, I found that it's the mindset first, the mindset that people have, Mike. And we're looking at a paradigm shift taking place in our country. As a matter of fact, in the world, people are becoming awakened to the reality of there being actually two different American experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yet what's happening is the desire and passion to become one experience is what's really the driving force behind it. So I'm excited to see this change, but there's still a lot of educating and a lot of proper information that needs to be put out there so that people who are taking part and want to see this change become the normal, right? Become the normal process of things. Then they need to get active, gather the right information, find the right resource for that information, and then take action, because that's how we can spread this new vibe, this new paradigm shift, that it becomes a normal thing in our society.
Well, absolutely. Okay. And our founding fathers actually intended that. Okay. If we look at Ben Franklin,
Mm,
Benjamin Franklin, he was very much for teaching people, educating people. The same goes with
yes.
Thomas Jefferson and many of the other founders of our nation. They
Yeah.
sought to educate people about what it truly means to be free, okay, and to live a life of liberty, and what liberty truly meant for us. And we are starting to see an upheaval across our country of people wanting to get back to that liberty.
Yes.
Okay, but they've been so conditioned all their lives.
Mm,
Okay, especially in our colored communities, our minority communities. They've
yes.
been
Oh, yes.
conditioned to believe
Yes.
that government has all the answers. Government will save us. Government will provide for us.
You
Okay,
know,
and
it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing, Michael. You're hitting it. You're hitting the nail on the head, my brother. Because I'm going to tell you something. In the black community, right there, I can remember a time, Michael. I remember a time when my oldest son, who's now 23, when he was 16, I can remember my son coming home from school. There was this fight that took place in school, and it was anarchy all over the place, all over the streets, because some big fight. And my son came home with lumps all on his face, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I said, I heard about the fight in the news. I'm running down to go pick him up, and he's coming up the block with the lumps on his face, and he's like, I hate the cops, Dad. And I said to him, I said, no, you can't feel that way. And what the look in his eyes about how he felt about law enforcement at that time, it I could see how it penetrated his heart, because he felt that the color of his skin, he was just thrown in the mix of every negative person that created that fight. And so there has to be an education on both sides, right? Because in the black community, the first feeling of being discriminated against, the first initiation of being judged for the color of your skin is the first thought that we take. It's the first thought we take. So there has to be something that happens that gives us the feeling of not just being equal, but the feeling of not being judged for wanting to be equal. And once that takes place, that sets a whole new precedence. The feeling of not being judged, or even better yet, the feeling of not being stereotyped, is what really needs to take place.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and
You
then
know?
we've also got a couple forms of equality, and actually, I hesitate to call one of these actual equality. Okay, but
Okay.
there's a subset of our culture, of our country, that believes that there is an equality of outcome, where everybody's outcome must be the same.
Mm,
Okay,
mm,
now that is not that is actually the very opposite of equality. If you really
yes.
take a look at it, because my background, my culture, my upbringing, my experiences are going to result in a different outcome for my life.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, a big
True.
part of that is going to be how I apply myself
Yes.
into that.
Yep.
Okay. And yeah, I'm a middle aged fat white guy. Okay. I
Okay.
mean, come on. Right. I am the stereotype of
Yeah.
whatever you want to go with right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bald, middle age. Okay, I mean,
Got you,
come
bro.
on. I am supposed to
You look
have
great though, man. You look great.
most advantages,
Yeah.
according to some people, because of
Right.
that.
Right.
And I've literally fought every step of the way along the way.
Mm.
It's taken a lot of
Right.
hard work to get
Yes.
where I'm at. Am I satisfied
Yes.
where I'm at? Absolutely not. But I also
Mm-hmm.
know that if I'm going to get beyond where I'm at, it's going to take a ton of hard work. And the thing
Yes.
is because of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to have people there saying, okay, he needs this advantage because of X.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's not
Right.
going to happen for me. Okay. Do I
Mm-hmm.
mind that? Absolutely not. I believe I am responsible for my life, just
Yes.
like you are responsible for your life.
Yes.
Okay.
This is true.
Everybody is responsible for each other, for their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start taking and accepting that responsibility, right, that's where we're going to find true equality.
Mm.
And that's where we find
That's right.
what is true equality is equality of opportunity, where
Mm. I love that. I love
you
what you just
are
said.
presented opportunities, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you come from. You
Mhm.
are presented with opportunities. You have the same opportunities that I have to
Yes.
progress through life, provided
Yes.
that you are willing to do the hard work that's going to be required of you to make it
Mm-hmm.
from step A to your final outcome, be it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
X, Y, Z, or whatever. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
rests squarely upon your shoulders, and I don't care
Yes.
who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is true equality. Honestly,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
not a
That's
stereotype. That's not anything
no.
else. Now, I'm also going to admit some other things along the way here, though. Okay,
Okay.
are there certain
Mm-hmm.
subsets of our culture and of our nation and of our population that do have some inherent struggles that they must overcome along the way?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That,
You've
mhm.
got a single white mom that lives in a trailer that's barely making ends meet, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
has 4 or 5 kids because the dirtbag husband decided that he wanted to go off with some
Yep.
floozy and leave her
Yep.
alone. Okay, yeah, she's got some hellacious struggles. You've also got
Yes.
the kids that grew up in a black household with single mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's been on
Mm-hmm.
welfare her entire life, right?
Yep.
Always
Yep.
dependent upon government, and that's all
100%.
they've known. Do they have struggles that they
Yes.
have to overcome? Absolutely. Do they live in ghetto? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Often they
Yes.
do. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, we each run into struggles. Okay? I myself was raised by a single mother. Okay?
Mm. Mm.
Actually, I never knew my real dad until I was in my 30s.
Wow.
Never
Wow.
knew it. Okay?
Wow.
My
Yeah.
ex-wife introduced me to him, right? We don't have
Wow.
that great of a relationship now. But the thing is, right? I never knew him most of my entire life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
So
my
what
background is not that
amazing. Yeah.
different from what a lot of
Mm-hmm.
other people face.
Ah, got you.
Okay? But I
Got
am
you.
here today because
Mm.
I knew it was going to take hard work to get
Yeah.
from point A to point B. Now, you can choose to let the challenges stop you,
Yeah.
the barricades, the blockades, the obstacles. You can choose to let those stop you. Or you can choose
That's true.
to find a way
You're
around them,
right.
over them, under them, or bust straight through them. Okay?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
your choice.
Yes.
And I don't care what
Yes.
color your skin is. I don't care who you are. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care if you're male or female. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
you are asexual. I don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Those challenges are up to you to break through.
Mm-hmm.
I can't break
Mm-hmm.
through your challenges. I can't do it.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. What you're saying, I absolutely love it, Michael. I'm going to tell you this. When you make the choice, that decision that you've had enough, that you're not going to let any excuses hold you back any longer, then they can no longer have power to hold you back.
Exactly.
Because you've decided no matter what happens, I'm going to win. And you can actually do that. I actually also believe that, a lot of this it's predicated on your faith. I believe that we need to come back to God. We need to come back to our relationship with God and realize that if we're all God's creatures, and that we need to make up our hearts and minds that we're going to treat others as we want to be treated, but in our condition, we're coming out of the hole. And nothing is going to stop us from coming out of the hole. And so, with that in your heart, with that mindset, that you will see victory, you will see change, but it requires you to get serious about it. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean?
You do.
And yeah.
Okay, and everybody along the way faces challenges.
Yeah.
Okay, and what I find really funny, okay, is a lot of people right now are really focused on slavery. Okay,
Yes.
and slavery was an absolute horrendous time in our history. Okay, it was as abomination. Okay, it was. Okay,
Complete abomination.
But we have to realize a few things about slavery. Okay, many Asians, Chinese, and other Asian cultures were slaves in this country as well. Okay?
Absolutely. They actually worked on the railroad. They actually worked on building railroad tracks. Yes, you're right.
Okay. Many Irish were slaves in the country. Okay.
That's
Those
right.
again is another culture that we never hear about really when the subject of slavery comes up. Okay. Something we have to realize is slavery has affected every race and culture throughout the world. Okay. Christians have been held slaves. Muslims have been slaves. Blacks have been slaves. Whites have been slaves. Asians have been slaves. Latinos have been slaves. I don't care. Okay. Indians have been slaves. Okay. A lot of Native Americans in this country were slaves. They were enslaved. Okay. Many Native Americans were taken from this country and sent to other countries as slaves. Okay, these are discussions that when slavery's come up, the only culture that we hear about is black.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now were
And
blacks mistreated during slavery? Absolutely. Okay,
absolutely, there's no doubt about it.
I
No
do not
doubt
deny
about it.
that. I will not deny that.
Mm-hmm.
But why are these other cultures able to move beyond that? Okay, we look
Mm-hmm.
at the Asian community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Asians are some of the best educated in the United States.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Asians.
And I think I know the answer. I know exactly where you're going, Mike, and I think I know the answer. Okay?
Okay,
I know exactly where you're going with that. And so here's something that I've noticed over time, and this is almost twofold. Okay, so what happens is this. Number one, if you were to look at Asians, Hispanics, Irish, whatever other race besides black. We look at them first. And then we say, okay, yes, every one of these races have had some form of slavery affect them at some point, somewhere in time. That's true. Why is it that all these other races have seem to have come out of that holding them back from the pursuit of happiness and success as a culture, as an ethnicity, and in the world? What's happening with the blacks that they still hold on to that and have not yet risen to the level other races have? And I think the answer is this. Number one, there is a homeland experience that other races have that I just don't see with the black community. And here's what I mean by that. So I've noticed over time, my dad is Puerto Rican. My mom is African American. So I've had the opportunity to grow up on seeing both sides, experiencing both sides as Puerto Ricans and African American. And so one thing I notice is that Puerto Ricans or Hispanics are very quick to help each other because they all come with a homeland experience, meaning they can all reference back to being in Puerto Rico at some place or Cuba at some place, and they have this connection of a homeland experience. The same with other races. They have an experience with one another of a homeland experience. If they wanted to go back and say, listen, I'm going back to Cuba to visit family, they can go there. Well, African Americans don't really have that because we can't just say, oh, we're just going to go back to Africa. There's a lot of digging we have to do just to figure out what tribe we came from, where in Africa that came from. And if you were to talk to most African Americans, Mike, here's what you find. And I guarantee you'll get the same answer. If you were to tell them right now, ask an African American, where is your homeland right now? Where do you go to visit your homeland? You know what? They wouldn't say Africa. They would literally say down south. I'd go down south. That's where all my family is. But when you look at other races, they have a homeland experience that the African American just doesn't have. That's one.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Okay.
Okay, and here's I am living proof of that.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know where in Europe I came from. Okay, what I do know
let me
is
ask you
my
this.
family was some of the first settlers here in the United States. Okay, and we actually came here in the 1500s.
You talking about the Dutch?
No, my family line came here in the 1500s. Okay. I don't know specifically where I came from as far as in Europe. Okay. I don't know if I'm English. I don't know if I'm German. I don't know if I'm Dutch. I don't know if I'm Finnish. I don't know if I'm Italian. I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that homeland connection that you're mentioning,
yes,
right, is commonplace in a lot of white.
Okay. But for the black experience, you may be 100% right. But for the black experience, that's all we've ever known is that displacement. And we watched other races have that experience, that homeland experience. And it somehow leaves a gap inside of you because you don't have it. And that's something that in the black race, and especially in African Americans, you'll see happen a lot. We only signify with somewhere in South Carolina and North Carolina as a place where we can go to actually dig our cultural and ancestry roots. Now, here's the other thing that you'll find interesting is that Jamaicans, Haitians, they don't see themselves as the way African Americans see themselves. I was just talking with a young lady the other day who said she's 30 something years old, and she said to me, I've never known racism until I came to the USA because it doesn't exist in Jamaica. And that just blew my mind, Mike. That blew my mind. And that let me know, okay, so Jamaicans, they'll go to Jamaica and they don't feel what we feel or experience what we experience because they have a homeland experience. We don't. So when they come over here and experience what we're experiencing, they think it's foreign to them. And to us, it's the norm. Mm-hmm. So that's just one theory I have. And I hear you loud and clear, Mike. You don't know where you don't know where your homeland is.
Right.
Is it Germany? Is it Italy? Is it Spain? You don't know.
Right.
But right. And I get that. And I get that there are a lot of races of people and a lot of other races that feel that way and that it's actual truth. But what a mass majority of blacks feel is that that's a great part of their experience. Whether they realize it by that or not, they may feel it and not know how to express it, but it's there. Mm-hmm. I think so now I'll tell you something else to add to this. And I want to touch back with you on this because being that you've never known where your homeland is, what have you done, or if you have ever done to trace your roots? Have you ever taken that opportunity to do it?
No, I haven't. I know my real dad has. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he's traced it back. He told me somewhere back into the 1300s.
Okay.
Okay. Now I haven't done it personally. Okay. I don't know that I ever will. I don't know that I'm not worried about it, honestly. Okay, gotcha. Because my experience has been the American experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, and granted, I'll be the first one to admit my experience has been different than your experience has been.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 100% agree with that. Okay, mm-hmm. And I also agree that there have been things implemented by our government. Okay, I don't think it's been implemented so much by whites per se. Okay. At a time there was, okay, and I will not deny that. At a time there was. Mm-hmm. But what's going on today and a lot of the stuff that we're seeing today that has been implemented against the black community that is really keeping them in their position has actually been implemented by the government. And honestly, it's been implemented by the very party that most blacks support.
You know what? Yes. Okay. Now here's the thing about that too, right? Like, it's funny you say that because there's so much truth to it. And I think it's I once heard it described as the B.A. Baracus distraction, right? From the A-Team, if you remember that show, the A-Team, right? But it's like a Jedi mind trick. It's almost like, you know what? You guys, African Americans, you focus on getting upset at whites who've been sabotaging you guys from rising up, right? But the truth of the matter is the government is actually historically been known to have set things in place and in motion to stop our growth. However, being realistic here, that should not stop us from rising. It's only a hindrance, but it's not stopping us. Okay? And there are things about what the government has done that should not still be an excuse. You know, there is something, and I want to make you aware of this if you're not. There is something called genetic cellular memory. Have you ever heard of this term?
Mm-hmm. I have. I'm not real familiar with it, but I've heard of it before.
Okay, so this is something that I think is also a plight, because you'll find it happening to every race, right? But there's something that has been happening to African Americans specifically when it comes to this genetic cellular memory, and that is, it almost amazes me, Mike, in the sense that I can remember being a kid and my mom talking to me about the time she remembers picking cotton in a field, right? And I can remember her even telling me times where she, would sit in the house, in the cabin, in the woods somewhere, it seemed like, and was scared because of what was coming, as far as discrimination and prejudice coming towards the family. So what I do recall when I started studying genetic cellular memory is that those fears, those genetic cellular traits that produce that fear or that structure inside of her heart is passed down. It's passed down. And so we don't realize it. It's almost just like it's almost like high blood pressure in the Black community. It's almost like diabetes, right? It's genetic. A part of this structure is genetic. And there's a book, I think it's by a woman named Dr. Joyce DeGruy, called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And basically what she's saying is that a lot of what we see in the African American culture is genetic cellular memory passed down. And we have to break the cycles because we're holding on to the past. We're holding on to the pain, and we don't know how to identify with it. It's the reason why it's almost a paradox to it, because think of it this way. We all African Americans want equality. We want it to the point where, again, we're not judged for who we are based on our skin color, but you measure us by the quality of a human being we are, right? So now what ends up happening is, whether the African American can recognize it or not, they are still holding on to genetic cellular memory of hurt, pain, and expression that has happened somewhere in the past, even maybe in their parents' past. And so this formulates the structure, and we see the remnants of that still today. Okay, and so what I'm saying is, there's a lot of things happening in the Black community that's pitting us not only against each other, but then we take it collectively and say, this is why we're held back, because there's outside forces still stopping us. And I think that it's going to take it's going to take some education and really looking at breaking those cycles, because that's part of it too. Part of it is what's in our cellular DNA. And that's something that the African American community must come to the awakening truth of. There's something in us genetically that we need to deal with.
Actually, what you're saying makes a tremendous amount of sense. Okay, and it explains a lot. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted so much to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
Okay, is my experience is not your experience. Okay, and I don't know what it's like to be a Black guy. I'll never know. Okay, regardless of what I try, I'll never know that experience. Okay, so it's through conversations like this, so that we can learn about each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's conversations like this
100%.
where we can actually grow and become Americans, not African American, not Anglo American, not white American, not Japanese American, okay, but Americans, okay, because
And I think we're getting there.
what we,
I think we're going to get there.
okay, I believe that we should hold on to our cultures. I believe that there's a lot of richness that can be gained from our cultures. Okay, tremendous amount, right? And many African cultures, okay, there is tremendous hunting prowess, survival instincts, and so forth that come out of the African cultures. Okay, that we can learn from. That can be very advantageous to us.
Yeah.
Okay, just like there's advantages that come out of the European cultures. There's advantages that come out of the Asian cultures. Okay, out of Middle Eastern cultures. Okay, I don't care. There are advantages. Okay, and that's one of the things that makes this country so tremendous, is because we are a melting pot of all of these cultures. And when we start looking at all of our cultures and we start looking at all the advantages that each of these cultures gives us, that's what makes us great.
I agree. But at the same token, I want to say that the African American, blacks in general, are dealing with hurt. You can feel, when I look around at what's happening today, Mike, I feel it. I feel it. I turn around, I look into my children's eyes, and even though they're all adults now, I see it. The hurt is there. The anger that comes in there. Because, again, first we're looking at that, we're going back to that genetic cellular memory. My kids at one time never experienced it. And then as they got older, they started experiencing it. And Mike, I'm telling you, it hurts. They see the hurt in my eyes. They see the hurt in their grandparents' eyes. And when you look in there's something about me looking in my parents' eyes and seeing this hurt. And then when I talk to them, they remember a time when they were young.
I'm losing you, Marcus.
There's a change already here, Mike. I believe.
Okay, you froze up on that, so I don't know if that. Oh God,
the change is here. What we're waiting on is sets of people. Yeah, Mike. I'm sorry. Could you hear me?
Actually, you broke up, and I'm not sure if it was my connection or yours.
Okay.
I get it that Black Americans have a lot of pain. Okay, I get that, and I understand that, and a lot of it, I'll be point blank. A lot of it is very justified. Okay, the way Black Americans were treated in the '60s, the '50s, '40s, '20s, all the way through. Okay, it was abominable. It was.
Thank you.
Okay, and to some point, the way they are treated today. Okay, and we need to really look at.
So let me ask you this, Mike. Let me ask you this. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear your question because you skipped right there. So try it again.
Okay. So what I was saying was I was hearing what you were saying, and you were acknowledging that the Black community, Black Americans are hurt. Blacks in general, they're dealing with a lot of hurt. So I have a question for you. Do you think the beginning of healing the hurt, because that's really what needs to happen, healing the hurt? Even when I think of let's say a person who's an alcoholic, one of the first things to healing the alcoholic when they go to an Al-Anon or AA meeting is to come into the acknowledgement that they have this problem and basically basically say, this is my problem. I admit it. I accept it, and I'm looking for change. I need to change. And then you have a sponsor or a mentor who helps you. See, that's another thing that we really need to look at. But the reality is healing the hurt. Healing the hurt. So I want to ask you, what do you think is the best way to deal with healing the hurt for Black Americans?
That's actually a very good question. Okay. And that is something that we do have to find an answer to. And honestly, that healing the hurt is not going to come from, I think too often that the Black community has turned to government to heal that hurt.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think government has actually increased that hurt.
Oh, 100%. You want to know the truth? What you want to know the truth? What Black America or Black Americans is really looking for from the government? I'll be honest with it. Let's just be straight about it. You know what we're really looking for?
Yeah.
We're looking for an apology. You know what we're looking for? We're looking for the government to say, we wronged you. We're sorry. We just want a heartfelt apology. You'd be amazed at how that would start healing the hurt. But the government refuses to do that. The government
never going to apologize.
Never going to apologize.
Okay.
Never.
I mean, we've all been wronged by the government.
But
all of us,
all of us. I agree. And also I think Mike, that the government pits it white against black.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's really not.
Okay, and you want to know something? It is in the government's best interest.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
To keep us divided.
Oh yeah. It's called
I'm not talking about whites and blacks.
Yep.
I'm not talking about any of that, right? They keep us divided in as many, they create as many divisions as they can in our country.
Yes.
For the simple fact of, if we come together, then we, the people, are more able to hold government accountable. Brother, as long as we are divided,
you're talking right.
Government can control us.
Yes.
We cannot hold them accountable.
Yes. You know what it is too. They love to create order out of chaos. They love it. The government loves doing that. And
no, the government enjoys creating. Okay, government doesn't create order, because if government created order, right? Then there would actually be some legitimacy to some of the stuff that they do.
Very true.
But honestly, they create chaos.
Yes.
And the reason why they create chaos, I want you to look at one thing real quick, right?
Okay. Yep.
How many political parties do we actually have?
That's a good question. I think actually it's 4, but we only see the 2.
We have 2.
Okay.
Okay. We have some that want to be in the political arena, but they're not. Okay. We have 2 political parties in this country. We have the Democrats and we have the Republicans.
Yes. We do. Okay.
Now, if you actually watch them, right? Watch their tactics. Watch some of the things that they say about the other party, and so forth. You'll find out that there is no difference between a Republican or a Democrat.
Yes. Yes. Okay?
The only thing that is different is the issues that they decide to choose. And honestly, I believe the heads of them decide, okay, you take this issue, I'll take this issue. And it's kind of like picking teams out on when you're playing a game of street ball or something, right? Yes. And they're going, okay, I'll take you, you take this, right? And they pick back and forth. Yeah. But if you look at the issues that they select, they are issues that are set to divide us as a nation.
I agree.
Okay. Let's take a look at universal health care. Okay. a very divisive issue, because you have one group that believes that we absolutely need it and we can't live without it. We can't make it without
Okay.
it. And then you have
Yeah.
the other group that believes there's no way that we can afford this.
You're absolutely right, man. Yeah, that's the truth.
Okay.
Okay.
You've got these two sides,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
They both want change in the healthcare.
Yes.
Okay. But one side goes, how do we change it without bankrupting everybody?
Uh-huh.
The other side says, I don't care what the cost is, it's got to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're both realizing that there is an issue here,
Yeah.
that there's a problem here. But our independent parties, right,
Mm.
whether it's
Okay.
Republican or whether it's Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
has said, okay, we're going to push this. We're going to push this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've
Yep.
diametrically opposed each other in order to create the division that we're seeing, rather than coming together someplace in the middle and figuring out true solutions.
I agree. I don't think their agenda is to come up with a solution.
No,
it's
it
just
isn't, because if they come up with a solution, then
yes.
they ruin their power. They ruin
Yes.
the ability to keep us divided. And what keeps
Yes.
Republicans and Democrats in power, the
Mm-hmm.
two parties in power, is us being universally divided.
Okay. Now, with that in mind, Mike, with that in mind, so that's very powerful what you just said. That's very powerful. I wish a lot more people just heard that. Okay, that was powerful. So, piggybacking off what you're saying, government, it's in their best agenda to keep us divided. I agree.
Hmm.
Now, as they perform that action and keep us divided, how do we best educate blacks, whites, that this is the truth? Because I think that when you hear the lie told too long, it brainwashes you so that when you hear the truth, you think the truth is the lie.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is we keep looking at this as a black and white thing, and we stay at the low level. We stay at this low level, and we never rise up to be that one America we can be, because we're still looking at a color.
Exactly.
We're still looking at a color. When what we need to do is rise up, become one, and really take down this government monarch that's really trying to create a prison planet in the first place, right?
Exactly.
So exactly. So my thing is, how do we at the low level change the mindsets who are completely buying into it?
Number one, we have to start turning to our communities for the solutions to our problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've got to quit looking outside of ourselves. We've got to quit looking outside of the communities to solve our problems.
Yeah.
Okay, and this goes for every community across the country.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once we start doing that, our communities have no choice but to start to unite together.
Yeah.
Okay, when we start looking at our communities to solve a problem, to solve an issue, right? Then our communities start to come together, because we have to start working together in order to incorporate our solutions.
This is true.
Right?
This is true.
And as you work together with somebody, yeah, you may have differences, but you unite towards a common good and a common cause.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And as we start to unite our individual communities together, then our larger communities start uniting together as well. Because you have layers of problems along the way. You have national problems, and you have street or neighborhood problems. Okay? As our neighborhoods unite together to solve our neighborhood problems, then they can go and expand that to start solving regional problems within our areas. In my case, since I don't live in large city, okay, it would be more along the lines of a county, and start looking at county issues and county. Okay, in your case, live in New York City, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. With you, right? That's going to
Mhm.
expand to maybe your borough. Okay. Or
Gotcha.
maybe not even that large. Okay.
Mhm.
But a region. Okay. Like, say a
Mhm.
precinct. Okay. And that's going to have a little bit larger problems than what your neighborhood has. Okay. But your precinct can come together and start solving those problems together as a precinct. Okay. And then your precincts can start coming together to solve borough problems. Okay. And so forth and so on. The boroughs can start coming together to solve city problems. Okay. Which in turn, like I said, unites us all together and gets us to becoming a single America.
Yes.
Okay. With the ability to still maintain our independent identities.
Yeah, I love that. Now, how? Okay, so I love what you said. Working together, right?
Mhm.
Now, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do, Mike? About because I'm just talking from the black perspective, right? I'm going to talk
Right.
from the black perspective, and I'm going to ask you these things because I think for black people who are going to be listening, this is going to be very powerful because I know how I know how blacks feel when it comes to these issues, and I'm thinking, okay, I want to work together, but how do I even begin to trust? How do I even begin to trust this white guy, these white people, when I know they're racist? Because that's how black people are going to feel. Not all, some. They're going to say, they're going to think, I want to work together, but I got this racist guy here. How do I know? How do I know I can trust him? So my question then becomes, how on the white side of things, and where white people are concerned, where there's white guys who say, you know what, I don't trust these guys. They're all the same. They don't want to work. They don't want to put any effort. How do we change their mind? How do we deal with that?
Let's not even look. Let's not even go to that extreme yet. Okay.
Okay.
First off, you start in your community. Okay. Is your community predominantly black? I don't know. I don't know where you live
Yes,
out in
it
New
is.
York.
Yes, it is. Predominantly black and Hispanic.
Okay. So you start working there, right? And
Gotcha.
even if you split it up and the Hispanics start working together and the blacks start working together.
Okay.
Okay, because you guys both have unique issues because of your races
Mm-hmm.
that you face.
Yes.
Okay. But there's ways that you guys can come together and solve those problems
Gotcha.
as a unified front.
Gotcha.
Now, once you guys solve those issues, start solving those problems, start working together, start uniting together. Now you've got
Mm,
numbers. Now the Hispanics
gotcha.
have got numbers. Whites have got numbers.
Gotcha.
Okay. So
Okay.
now, when we see other issues that affect all of us, that's when we can start coming together and saying, okay, this is something that affects all of us. How do we change it? How do we work this?
Gotcha.
Okay. And that is where we're going to have to come across the line. We're going to have to bury our pride to a certain
Yes.
extent. And we're going to also have to take a leap of faith.
I
As you
agree.
said, okay,
Yeah.
faith is going to be a big part of this. And we're going
100%.
to have faith that outside
Mm-hmm.
of government,
Yes.
most people are colorblind.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying all of them,
Okay.
but that small subset
Okay.
can be ignored. Let's
I
look at the whole. Let's look at the larger
brother,
part.
brother, you got it. You got it. You said it right there. That small because it's a small subset.
Exactly.
It's a small subset. Do not be fooled by the roar. The roar, the bark is louder than the bite. It's bigger than the bite, right? So just let the dog bark. Let him bark.
Right.
But the reality is, ignore him. Okay,
Exactly.
now, yes, because what ends up happening is the progress that you're making shuts the mouth.
Exactly.
Okay, now that's really good, man. So here's the other component that I see, and it's this. It's how do you now, because for most Black Americans, and it almost hurts me to say this, man, because it's so true, Mike. Most Blacks do not even understand, number one, how government works.
No, they don't, because they haven't been taught.
Exactly.
And that's where I can come in.
Man.
You can come in.
Yes.
And other people like Maj Tourette.
Yes.
Okay. People like Candace Owens.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And there's countless others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alan West.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can come into these communities and we can teach them.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Ann Hall.
Yeah.
Okay. There's countless people to teach.
Yeah.
But you have to take the accountability to learn.
Gotcha.
Okay. I can put all this information out there.
Yeah.
But if you are going to hold yourself accountable to learn, I'm sorry, I'm wasting my breath.
We also have to keep in mind, Mike, I agree with you. Man, you're touching on a topic right now, and you're hitting a pulse that needs to be touched, right? It's very important that as and I know this for Black people especially with what we see happening. This change affects all people. This movement affects all people, right? But what we need is more than anything to understand that Black people want to keep their dignity. They want to keep their pride. They don't want anybody tarnishing that, because whatever little pride you got, whatever little dignity you built up, whatever integrity you're walking with, you don't want that tarnished. They're very, very sensitive about that. And so
let's make that pride, let's make that dignity shine so bright,
yes,
that the tarnishes can't be seen.
I love it. I'm with you. So with that in mind, Candace Owens, you mentioned her. So she said things that really hurt Blacks in general, and it offended some it didn't. So here's my point about that. It's very important that whoever comes in to teach Blacks about government, how it operates, the judicial system, how it operates, all the way down to how wards are broken down. I get that Blacks don't really even understand how wards are broken down in a city.
Because
Ward A, Ward B, Ward C, they don't understand it.
No, they don't.
They don't.
And they don't understand, and they have purposely been kept in the dark.
Yes.
Okay? They have purposely been kept in the dark.
Yes.
And that is government doing. Okay?
Yes.
Because if people don't know the limitations of government, then how can people hold government to those limitations?
You can't. It's impossible. And
exactly.
For the average Black American, especially this generation today, right? The majority only know maybe two things when it comes to government. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's just a reality. They probably know who their mayor is and the president.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
But that's most of the United States. That's most of America.
That's insane.
Okay, it is. It's absolutely insane. Okay, most of America doesn't even know who represents them and at what level they're represented. Okay, most people do not know that they have an elected law enforcement official that is elected to represent them in matters of law. Okay. People do not understand that. They do not comprehend that. Okay. That the constitutional sheriff is an elected official. That is a representative of the community that elected him. Okay. Chief of police is appointed. They're appointed by the
Yeah.
mayor. Okay, but the sheriff is elected.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
Mhm.
and the thing that most people don't realize and don't understand is that sheriff actually has more law enforcement authority than any other law enforcement representative there
Mm.
is. Okay, what people
Okay.
don't understand is
Okay.
that the sheriff actually determines what law enforcement agencies are able to operate and at what capacity they are allowed to operate within his county.
Mm. Very interesting.
Okay, that's what people don't understand. In fact, a lot of sheriffs don't even realize that they have that authority.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay, now when you get down to subsets of cities and towns, okay, that have law
Mm.
enforcement, then it's a little bit different. But outside of the county, when you start going up, okay,
Mhm.
the sheriff
Mhm.
actually controls who outside of the county is able to
Yeah.
operate within that county.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's been certain things that have kind of diluted that power.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is why we've got to quit looking for government for answers, because certain state grants and certain federal grants have been given to various law enforcement agencies across the country or very public
Mhm.
safety agencies across the country.
Yeah.
Have
Which, as I understand, might get a majority of the grants. They get a majority of that grant that's given to the city, law enforcement.
and you know
Mhm.
why?
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think maybe like 18% of it goes to parks and recreation or something.
Do you know why those grants are given? Okay.
Why?
So that state and federal government can control those agencies.
Mm. Mm. Got you. That's very, it makes so much sense.
Okay. Who controls you? Okay. I want you to be on. I
I
want you to
control
really
them.
think about this. Okay. If I control
Okay.
your entire income, right,
Yes.
or
Right.
a major part of your income,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and I said, okay, you will do this,
Mm.
or I'm going to take this money away from you. What are you going to do?
You know what? You know what? Ah, Mike. Okay. Being honest here. Me personally, I would tell you take it. You go shove it. I'm out. I'm going to do my own thing. But I know that a majority of people are going to succumb to what you tell them to do and do just that because they're
Exactly.
afraid to lose that. They're afraid to lose that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why does government want so much of the black community on welfare?
To control them. To control them. To keep them in a certain place. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. That's
So
a
we
scary
want
thought.
to
It's
change
a
the
scary
black
thought when you
community.
put. It's a scary thought when you put it that way, though.
It is. It's extremely
Scary
scary.
thought. Yeah, it's a scary thought.
Okay, it's extremely, and that's the thing that should be keeping us all up at night.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this is where we've got to start to change. And
Yeah.
the thing is this change that we need to go through as a nation
Yeah.
knows no color.
Got you. Got you. That's
Okay,
what I want. I want to
it
see
knows no color
knows no color.
because in order for this change to happen, we've
Hmm.
all got to come together.
Yes.
We all have to work together because the only way that these solutions come about is if we work together to implement it. And we quit
Mm.
relying upon government to provide them for us.
Yeah. 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 And I think the idea is to have people dependent on the system,
Mm-hmm.
which people have been for decades, just dependent on the system. And so actually it does a couple of things. It does something psychologically to a person, because it takes away the motivation to even move beyond, to move into entrepreneurship or try to move beyond complacency, because you're so comfortable getting just enough to get to next week, getting just enough to get, and you're afraid to lose that.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're having this conversation, I'm seeing different layers unfold here, and so there's a lot of work to do, Mike.
Oh,
There's a lot
absolutely.
of work to do. I
We
mean,
didn't get here overnight. We're not going to solve it overnight either.
yeah, not at all, not at all, not at all.
Okay. But
there is hope here, and I believe that the change is happening. Like as I said earlier, I believe the change is here. I believe we're just waiting for the minds of people to come together.
people are calling for this change. People
Yes.
are begging for this change.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
demanding this change. And
Yes.
you want to know how I know that?
How's that?
Look at sanctuary sanctuary cities for illegal aliens. That
Mhm.
was a rebuff against the federal government coming in and saying, okay, you're not allowed to have these people. Okay?
Okay.
Look at the Second Amendment with sanctuary counties that are starting to pop up.
Mm.
Again, this is the rebuff against the state saying, hey, you're violating our rights. We're not
Mhm.
going to stand for it. We're not going to allow it.
Mm.
People are begging for this. They're
Yes.
begging for a change in our judicial system
Oh.
as well. And the thing is what a lot of people don't realize or understand is our judicial system used to be totally different.
Yes.
Okay,
So
we need to get
I have
back
something.
towards
Yeah,
that original system.
I agree. Now let me say something here, because you're piquing my curiosity on things, so I have to throw it out. When we look at what's happening in the world today, we've seen for over and over, time and time again, we've seen law enforcement. This is what kicked it all off. This is what kicked this whole movement off, is a knee on the neck of a black man
Mm-hmm.
screaming, "I can't breathe," and crying for his mother. Right? That did something to hearts all over the world.
Right.
What do we do, Mike, about law enforcement abusing their authority, abusing their power?
Okay.
What do we do?
I'm going to save that for our next discussion. Okay.
Okay.
We're actually over an hour now
Ah,
on this.
gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. This is.
And I don't want to lose everybody.
Okay.
I do want us to pick this up because there are some very real solutions that we can do, that we can implement as communities.
Yes.
To
Let's
hold law enforcement accountable and to help change the dichotomy that law enforcement has with the public.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to
Let's
let's continue the
the
conversation. Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to dive into that. I want to look at these solutions. I want to talk about it. And I'm going to be honest, Mike, we're going to hit some nerves. I want to hit the nerves. I want to talk about things that make us uncomfortable, but we need to deal with it.
Number one, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not grown. Okay.
Amen.
Let's
Amen.
look at, I'm going to use a very mundane example here.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lobster goes
Mm.
along its life, right? And it's got this nice
Yeah.
shelter on him. Okay?
Yeah.
After a while, as that lobster grows, it becomes more and more uncomfortable.
Mm.
Okay?
Okay.
So when it gets to a certain point where it becomes so uncomfortable, he has to shed his shell. When he sheds his shell, before the new shell has time to get formed to allow him more room to grow, that lobster is vulnerable.
Mm.
Okay? So we have to go through this vulnerability, this hurt,
Yeah.
grating of nerves, these
Yes.
painful times
Mm.
in order for us to grow as a nation, in order for us to grow as a people, in order for us to grow individually. We have to
Yeah.
experience that pain and discomfort to a certain extent.
Well,
Okay?
yeah.
Now, the thing is if you and I are coming together,
Mm-hmm.
and all of us are coming together, guess what?
Mm.
We can support each other through those times of trial.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
can come together and we can build a nation that is inclusive. We can build a nation that is free.
Yes.
Build a nation that is able to solve problems through the people and not be mandated solutions by our government.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. That was so good analogy with the lobster. I really liked it, man. That was really good. That's good. So yes, Mike, we gotta continue these conversations.
I agree. So, Marcus,
Yes.
why don't you let people know how to get a hold of you,
Sure.
okay, and how they can find you,
Okay.
so that we can expand this conversation outside of just you and I, but
Okay.
we can actually expand it to people outside of us and
Okay.
start
Great.
answering some questions and so forth from other people.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So people can find me online. I'm very active on Instagram. You can find me. My tag is at the real M Monroe Teach on Instagram. I'll repeat that, at the real M Monroe Teach. And they can find me there. I'm very active there. So follow me. I do a lot of lives. I do a lot of posts and discussions on there. And I just released a new book, as I was telling you, Mike. My book is called Switching Governments,
Okay.
10 Steps to Unlocking Heaven's Blessings in Your Life. And it talks about exactly what you and I discussed tonight, how to stop letting excuses hold you back. If you
Right.
want to live your best life, this is your time. And I want to give you the tools to do that. So you can find my book, Switching Governments, on Amazon. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm releasing a school next month. It's an online school called World Reachers Academy Online. It's
Okay.
going to be geared with courses teaching people how to go into the marketplace and dominate the marketplace with strategies and get results, and also on how to identify and discover your purpose and get results living in it.
Okay. Sounds great, Marcus.
Yep.
Okay. And with me, you can find me through the Liberty First Foundation. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and any other places, or you can just do a search for me on Facebook, and I'd be happy to connect with you guys. You can also email me at michael@l1f.us.
Sounds
Okay,
good.
guys, give us a like, share us, and let's spread this message. Let's start to heal our nation the way that it needs to be healed. Okay, and the only way we can do that is for you guys, the viewers, to actually help us by sharing this message. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a retweet. Okay? Let other people know about us. Thanks, and you guys have a great night.
Don't label us left or right. Our American. Not looking for a war, but we came to fight. Our American. Somebody's gotta stand up. Stand up. Somebody's gotta do what's right. We're rising cause we're fed up. Got our house in order and got yours inside.